1, 2, ready, kick it.
So today, we're gonna break down all of my gear, whether that's for my own personal solo content, getting hired by a brand to do commercial work, music videos, pretty much anything and everything. I'll be showing you what tools I use for every specific task, but first, our routine, as you know, to start the day.
Hey, sorry if you're new here and you don't care about this vlog series and you want to get just straight into this gear portion, fast forward onto that. But if you are also new here, this is day 9 of posting every single day here on YouTube. You know the drill. Routine, routine, routine. It is everything. Or well, to me at least, because if you win the morning, you win the day. So of course, our daily coffee, some breakfast, and some good old YouTube golf to get the dopamine flowing early. I got some emails to handle before we start breaking down all the gear that I use, but nothing too crazy. Or well, I hope that's what I have planned, but you just never know. But until then, cheers.
Okay, so this is how it's gonna work. I'm gonna show y'all what I use for when I'm filming just for my own personal content, then my setup for when I work with clients, and then everything else like travel, mobile. We'll figure it out as we go. So first up is a camera that I use for most of my own personal content, whether that is short form or long form like this, and that is the Sony ZV-E1. I don't need to get into the technical aspects of this camera. All I need to tell you that it is full frame, it shoots in S-Log3, it's super easy to work with, dual native ISO. Those are my favorite things about it. You can go watch other tech reviewers' content. I'm not a tech reviewer person like that. All I can tell you is those main features right there is why I choose this camera. For me, what I'm looking for in a camera is quality. How small is it? How easy it is to use, and how portable is it? I mean, come on, look at this. It's like the size of my hand. And cameras that are comparable to this is the Sony ZV-E10, which is a crop sensor, and the FX3, which is a full frame sensor, and then the FX30, which is also a crop sensor. For me, I love the full frame look, and this is nowhere near the price of an FX3. So you're probably wondering, does it overheat? No, absolutely not. It never has on me. I'm not filming like 30 to 40 minute interviews or filming in the baking sun for extended periods of time. I'm filming short clips one after another. And also, I'm not being paid to say this, by the way. I genuinely love this camera. There's a reason why I picked 2 of these instead of one FX3. It just makes so much more sense financially. If I have a camera that expensive, I would baby it way too much. I know what I'm risking, but with this, toss it on my car, toss it on a bike. You know, it's a tool, it's a utility. And I think when your camera rig is really, really, really expensive, like a $6,000 to $8,000 FX3 build out, it just gets in the way. Oh, and the lens that I have on it is the Sony 24mm 2.8 prime. Very compact. It's wide enough for me to do shots like this. This is my go-to everyday setup. And yes, I did write all over my camera. I don't care about reselling it. I don't care about babying it. If anybody tries to steal my camera and resell it on the internet, I know it's mine. Okay, you will be found. Okay, so next up, the tripod that I use is this right here. It is the Manfrotto Be-Free 3-way tripod. Basic, it does this, you know, so I can shoot horizontal and vertical. It's really lightweight, pretty compact. I could just, you know, strap it onto my backpack, carry it around for hours. It doesn't get exhausting because it's pretty light. And also a lot of times I just keep my camera on it, strapped onto my backpack, so I could just quick release, boom, ready to film wherever, whenever. These two right here is a very efficient combo. All right, the microphones that I use for my own personal content is this right here, the Rode Wireless Pros. It's pretty straightforward. Honestly, there's not much I need to say about it other than the audio quality is impeccable. fantastic. Whether I'm driving in a car and my camera's mounted on my hood, or if I'm out riding my bike, or if I'm golfing, skiing, wherever, it picks up the audio perfectly. What I also love is that it has this charging case right here that I just plop it into every time I'm done using it. I also use the Rode lavalier attachment. I just clip it on right here. Well, that's it for my own personal content, or well, what I use like 60 to 70% of the time. Next is what I use for client work. This baby right here is what I use for client work. And what this is a Blackmagic Pocket 6K camera. The older one, not the full frame one. This is Super 35. I use Canon EF glass with this. And because I don't need to worry about autofocus, I personally find the image quality, the color, what I'm looking for in cinematic image quality, I get more out of the Blackmagic cameras. And so because I am behind the camera, I have this big old monitor. I can pull the focus as I need to. I have focus peaking when I'm looking at this monitor. And it's also pretty lightweight. I can run and gun with this thing pretty well, but it's also heavy enough to give you that, you know, cinematic handheld movement. I don't care what anybody says the cons of Blackmagic are. To me, the image quality out of this little camera is superior. And you can get one of these for pretty cheap now. Cheaper actually than my Sony ZV-E1 setup. I've filmed a number of my videos on this, even my short form videos back in the day. And when I look back at the things that I've filmed with my new Sony camera and the Blackmagic, I still prefer the image of when I was filming with the Blackmagic. It's just when I film by myself, because I need that autofocus and I'm looking for convenience, this is not convenient to use at all when you're filming yourself. Okay, let's break down the rig. I have the small rig base plate with the carbon 15mm rods. I have the Rode Wireless Pro attached to it, the Atmos Shinobi 5-inch monitor. A 5-inch monitor is good enough for me. I'm using a small rig V-mount battery and a small rig, I think it's a mini or micro matte box. Not sure what they call it, but it's one of the smaller matte boxes. I like using these over the circular ones anyways. And for the lens, it is a Tokina 11-16 2.8. I also have the Sigma 18-35 1.8 and the 50 1.4. I try to keep all my gear as budget friendly as possible. And I've found that this is a very budget friendly cinema build. Hey, PSA in the middle of this vlog, I would like to kindly interrupt it for a bit to let y'all know that this video and everything you've ever seen me film is color graded with this. This is my color grading preset available as a LUT, an instant fix for your footage. It works with every editing platform, every camera, and yes, even your phone. It's as simple as a few clicks and a handful of seconds, and boom, it is pretty much magic, absolutely mind-blowing, saving you so much time. You can purchase it with the link in the description, and I really appreciate your support. Your support keeps this channel going. And even if you can't make a purchase, thank you all just for being here. It really means so much to me. You can still support this channel by just clicking like or subscribe or leaving a nice comment, or not a nice comment if you don't like these videos. Doesn't matter to me. I like making these videos. So yeah. It is free to do so, and it really does mean the world to me. So now, back to our video. Okay, so everything else. Cameras that I love traveling with are these right here. These are the Sony ZV-E1s. This is the M1, and this is the M2. They're the same camera, except this one has a wider focal length, super tiny, pocketable. Hold it out like this, whether I'm on an airplane, at a restaurant, in public where I don't want to be carrying my other cameras. They also shoot in S-Log3, so I can match it up with my Sony ZV-E1s, or if you want to match it up with your FX3, FX30, whatever Sony camera you're using, these will go hand in hand with them. I use these cameras as a utility. It is a tool. I don't need or care to baby them around. That's not to say I don't care about them or value them, but when it comes to picking camera gear, I like picking affordable things that I feel like I don't need to, to baby. Anywho, the Sony ZV-1, these are my travel companions. Next up, my everyday carry of a photo camera is this Fujifilm X70. This camera is, I think, about 9 years old now. I prefer this over the X100V, X100VI. You can still bake in all of your Fujifilm simulations into JPEGs, just like the other X100 series cameras. It's just, this is a little older, the sensor's older, but it's a Fuji. The photo quality is fantastic. I love that it still has the tactile dials and buttons up top. It still has that same retro feel. Oh, and also something that none of those cameras have is this right here. This flip screen, absolutely clutch. I got this for about 400 bucks. Don't quote me on that. I don't know where it's at now. I hope people aren't hyping this up, but this right here is a gem, one of Fuji's best kept secrets. Another really good one is the X10 and the XT10, I believe. Any of the older Fuji cameras, you can still use them. They're just as good as the new ones. Since we're on the topic of retro or vintage cameras, this is a Sony Handycam. You used to have to use tape to film all these, which is fine, but I never did that because it was such a hassle converting, having the converter box and all of the cables and then recording it into your computer. Now, thanks to one of my really, really good friends, his name is Danny, he puts these together. You can find it on @DannyCam. He found out a solution to record directly into a micro SD card by using this little camera monitor up here. It takes the feed out of the camera, goes directly into here, and from in here into an SD card. So I can get that nostalgic retro feeling without having to use any filters, because I feel like those filters never recreate film or VHS or any of these older cameras accurately enough. And if you've been here before, I'm sure you've seen it used in every single one of my vlogs. It's honestly become one of my favorite cameras I've ever owned to date. This right here is what I use for my phone, because this phone now films in log. I can mount this so easily on so many things, whether it's fixed POV shots on my camera, on a pen, while I'm cooking, onto bike handlebars. Because this cage has so many points you can screw in on, I just take my magic arms, clamp it onto literally anything and everything. I've attached one of these docks right here so I could put one of my SD cards and it films straight onto it from my phone. I set it on the Blackmagic recorder app to save directly onto the SD card. Pull it out, put it into my computer. I can film and color grade this just like any of my other Sony cameras, and nobody can tell the difference. And I can also put an ND filter on this so I get that super smooth, buttery motion blur when I'm filming 24 FPS. This rig right here is a game changer. And lastly, what I use to edit, very simple, one thing and one thing only, and that is Adobe Premiere Pro. For me, it gives me the most control over my footage. I can do exactly what I want to, when I need to. It's unmatched. Again, not sponsored. I genuinely love this product. I've been using it for forever. It does the job for me, but also any of the other editing platforms will not make or break a story. What's more important than all of this gear is what you put in front of it. Well, that's it. I'm pretty sure we covered all of the bases here. None of this is sponsored, although you can get all of the gear that I use with the link below. I just buy what works best for me. I don't sway over one brand or another. I have a love and hate relationship with gear, but ultimately, I just buy something that works just enough to get the work done. I don't baby my gear. Like I said before, it's a tool. I don't feel emotionally attached to any of my cameras or any of the brands or any of the lenses or whatever it may be. Although I used to, but now it's just things that I use to help tell my story. I don't think there's any camera that will make or break that. And if you have any questions about anything, any camera, chances are I've probably already used it, bought it, and sold it. So just let me know in the comments, what do you use? What are you planning to use? I would be happy to go over any of these things in a part 2. And yeah, like I said, that wraps it up. We got some cool things along the way that we're working on. So I'm excited to get started on that, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.